Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it out. Tonight, we're gonna let it out. Tonight, we're gonna let it out. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it out. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it out. Tonight, we're gonna let it out. Tonight, we're gonna let it out. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it out.
Hey y'all, can you hear me? Hey Cass, hey Jiraiya, hey Slipper Sauce, hey Avery, hey Never Silent, how are y'all doing? Oh, let's see. I was outside with the new turtle that we had, guys. A new boy turtle. I was reading these. Yo, this is his reading and going through until I started going through it. And then I was like, oh, hell no. Is this dude innocent or what? OMG. Have any of you read the documents or heard anyone reading the documents yet? Wow. Are you in here, Pyrus? I know he was reading them. I am? Ugh. You think so, Pyrus? I don't know. Reading all them papers, I was like, Avery, are you joking or are you being serious? Did you read it? Okay, let's see now. I need to turn. You'll see my little poof poof. I wasn't. planning on going on screen, but I freaking forgot to turn it off. So there it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like, didn't he have a confession? Well, get your ass up here. No, I can't go up right now. Avery, would you come up on my panel, please? Oh, shoot. He's not supposed to talk about this case. I forgot about that, Miss Avery Shannon. I forgot all about that. All right, you guys. Let's just. I've been dreading this live all day. And then it got closer and closer, and it's like a quarter till. And I think the new turtle's hungry, or I think he needs some water. So I'm out there. Yeah, I remember that. I forgot it was this case until you said something. All right, is the sound okay? Let's go. Har's got further ideas. So this is a Franks hearing, and that is a court proceeding where the court is asked to determine if the police officer involved lied in obtaining a search warrant. Y'all just let me know if my sound goes out, please. I don't know what. It goes out with my headphones. It goes out without my headphones. Let's see. Okay. Memorandum in support of the accused motion for Franks hearing. Comes now the accused Richard Allen by and through counsel Andrew J. Baldwin and Bradley A. Rossi and files his memorandum in support of his request for a Franks hearing. Introduction. Because the facts in this are dense for anyone not yet completely familiar with this case, the defense is providing this introductory section, similar to the syllabus that often precedes a long and complex United States Supreme Court opinion. Hey, Kaz. I do need a mic, but where am I going to put it? I have like no room until I find another place. The purpose of this introductory section is to provide the court a general understanding of what to expect concerning the facts upon which the defense will be relying, and how those facts impact the legal arguments before providing the necessary detail, minutia, and notation to the record that could bog down the court as it attempts to unpack the defense arguments. My left contact's been bothering me all day. The defense, therefore, will provide little attribution as to the source of the evidence in this introductory section, but will then provide proper attribution to the sources of the evidence throughout the body of the memorandum following the induction. Introduction. Table of contents. Introduction. Table of contents, page 2. 8 things to know. I'm not saying every page. Odinism. What is it? I don't remember how it's called. Odinism and Odinities and runes. I think that's how you say it. And then I'm gonna skip this whole part 1 of the crime scene because we should already know, and we're here for this part. We're gonna know what the police did in the 8 things you should know. 8 things to know. But as far as the crime scene part, it's been going on for how many? 5 years. Everybody knows what it's about. And then I'm going to go over this part, the evidence that connects the dentist. Is it O? Oh, yeah, O. Odin. I couldn't think if it was. Okay, I'm going to shut up. Never silent. I ain't that. So here we go. 8 things to know. I was reading this and I was like, okay, that's enough pages to read for today. Overwhelming evidence in this case supports the following. 1. Okay, sorry, I was reading chat. Members of a pagan Norse religion called Odinism, hijacked by white nationalists, ritualistically sacrificed Abigail Williams and Liberty German. There may be things in here that you don't agree with. There may be things in here that are very horrifying to hear. I'm sorry. Number 2, very early on, those in charge of the Delphi murder investigation claimed that they had consulted with a Purdue professor concerning what resembled possible Odinism signatures left behind at the crime scene. After the Purdue professor proclaimed, according to State Trooper Jerry Holman, that it was not Odinism or any type of cult worshiping or any type of group that would have conducted the crime, the Odinism angle was essentially abandoned. However, as of September 7th, 2023, the leaders of the Delphi investigation team, 1, claimed that they can't identify who this purported professor was, 2, have provided no reports from this purported professor, and 3, have further indicated they may never be able to figure out who this professor is. Based in large part upon this mystery, Purdue professor's opinion, the Delphi investigative leadership claimed that it essentially abandoned considering Odinite involvement in the murders. And then the years passed: 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Thankfully, during those passing years, law enforcement officers Kevin Murphy, Greg Ferenczi, and Todd Click continued to pursue the truth. Because of their curiosity and investigative efforts, the evidence establishing the names of the likely murdering members of this Odinite cult became known to the Delphi investigative leadership no later than February 2018. Due to either incompetence or a concerted intentionality, those in charge of the investigation refused to arrest or even properly investigate these obvious suspects. 3. On May 1st, 2023, the state of Indiana, by way of prosecutor Nick McClelland, I'm going to stop looking at the chat, received a letter from former Rushville Assistant Police Chief Todd Click, who is now retired. As stated in the previous paragraph, Click, Murphy, and Ferenczi were 3 of the law enforcement officers who worked on the Delphi murder case, particularly focused on the Odinite angle as it intersected with suspects in Rushville, Indiana. Do y'all know what happened in Rushville, Indiana? After reading Richard Allen's probable cause affidavit, Click became concerned that the information contained in Richard Allen's affidavit, pointing the finger at Richard Allen, was far less compelling than the totality of the information that Detective Ferenczi, Detective Murphy, and Officer Click had accumulated during the Rushville portion of the investigation. The information that Murphy, Ferenczi, and Click had gathered during this investigation connected men who practiced Odinism in or near Delphi with another group of men who lived in Rushville. I feel like I have hair on my face. And then connected both groups of men to the murders. Click was concerned that for some reason the leadership of the investigative team had failed to share with Prosecutor McClelland the evidence gathered by Click, Ferenczi, and Murphy. Click's concerns led him to seek out a lawyer to assist him in the drafting of a letter. This letter was then sent to McClelland. This letter was not provided to the defense until after it was obvious from the last round of depositions that the defense, who had doggedly pursued witnesses as far as Georgia, would certainly be talking with Todd Click. McClelland had this letter in his possession for over 4 months before turning it over to the defense. There can be no mistaking that this letter is exculpatory in nature and could have been used by the defense as it prepared for upcoming depositions. However, it is apparent that McClelland only offered up the letter after it was obvious that the defense team would soon be learning of the letter's existence. In other words, the defense team would obviously be meeting with or deposing Click in the next few weeks. At that time, Click most certainly would then reveal to the defense that in April 2023, he, Click, had sent a letter containing exculpatory information to McClellan. At this point, McClellan had two distinct choices: sit on the exculpatory evidence, hoping that the defense team would refocus its efforts on another angle of the investigation, or two, disclose the exculpatory evidence, claiming that the contents of the letters were overlooked in the volume of discovery. He chose the latter. Unfortunately for the state, neither approach explains away the fact that Click specifically directed the letters to McClellan himself, and further, Click was so determined to ensure his information was consumed by McClellan that he directed the information directly to McClellan via certified mail. The letter is stamped, received the May 1st, 2023 Carroll County prosecutor. Click's report landed at Ground Zero, a prosecutor's office with no more than 2 full-time prosecutors and a handful of full-time staff members at best. Could this exculpatory evidence have been completely overlooked? Not plausible. Not only did the prosecution withhold that letter from the defense, but law enforcement also withheld several other exculpatory pieces of evidence, including an 85-page compilation of reports Click prepared in 2019 and several videos containing statements that support the defense theory of Richard Allen's innocence. This 85-page report detailed the investigative work performed by Click, Ferenczi, Murphy, and others, including the FBI. According to the summary of Click's investigation that he attached with his letter, the Behavioral Analysis Unit, BAU, of the FBI determined that the individual responsible for the homicides were involved in Nordic beliefs. This was news to the defense, as no member of the unified command in charge of the investigation revealed this information to the defense during recent depositions. This includes Trooper Holman, who told the defense that he didn't remember if the FBI's BAU unit determined one way or the other whether those with Nordic beliefs had been involved in the murders. At least up until the time of this filing, the prosecution has provided no evidence whatsoever of the findings of the FBI's BAU unit concerning involvement of Odinist in the murders. None. Odinist. Y'all stop. In the murders. None. The letter that Click sent to McClellan was the first that the defense has heard that the FBI actually believed that they were likely involved. In other words, this report contains exculpatory evidence that Unified Command concealed from the defense. This information was and is crucial for Richard Allen's defense. Some of this exculpatory evidence in the form of videos was finally released to the defense on September 8th, 2023, over 9 months after defense counsel entered their appearance. The defense is still reviewing the September 8th evidence dump. In the brief time the defense has had to review this newly received evidence, it has found exculpatory evidence both in the videos the defense has watched and the documents they have read. While the prosecution has been holding on to this exculpatory evidence, Richard Allen has been living in hell. Lastly, the evidence will show that the week of August 28, 2023, Prosecutor McClellan and State Trooper Jerry Holman requested a meeting with Todd Click. By this time, the defense team had taken several depositions, including Holman, Liggett, and Lesenby, and the prosecution and Delphi investigative leadership now knew that for a while, the defense team had been aware of the Odinist evidence. At least the evidence that the prosecution turned over to the defense scattered throughout multiple hard drives and many flash drives. The prosecution had learned in early August that the defense had figured out the strong Odinist ties to the crimes despite the apparent attempts of the prosecution, Liggett and Holman, to hide this exculpatory information from the defense. Wanting to allay his fears that an innocent man was sitting in Westville, Click agreed to attend the meeting with Holman, hoping that he would be learning that evidence did in fact exist linking Richard Allen to murders. Click's hopes were dashed. Page 17 of Click's affidavit. Upon directing the letter to Mr. McClellan, I heard nothing from the prosecutor's office or any other members of Unified Command until I received phone calls on August 23rd and August 25th, 2023, which involved brief discussions regarding scheduling. During these phone calls, it was requested. Where was I?
Oh, I'm sorry.
During these phone calls, it was requested that I meet with Trooper Holman during the week of September 4th, 2023. I was informed that I mute myself. I am so mad right now. I was informed that law enforcement officials intended to sit down with me and discuss with me the reason why Richard Allen was responsible for these. I was told that he, Jerry Holman, wanted to put my mind at ease. However, during the meeting with Detective Holman and a second detective, whose name I am unfamiliar with, there was no discussion or offerings as to why they believed Richard Allen was guilty of the charged crimes. I believe the interview was an attempt by them to clean up their loose ends, knowing that they had given very little, if any, attention to the investigative efforts of myself, Detective Francie, and Detective Murphy. Emphasis added. 4. Not only did Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett fail to include all this Odinite information in his October 13th, 2022 affidavit for search warrant, and not only did McClellan and the Unified Command withhold exculpatory evidence, Liggett also concealed damaging witness statements that devastate Liggett's timeline. A timeline Liggett needed to be true in order to place Richard Allen at the trail when Abby and Libby were abducted. Additionally, Liggett lied in his affidavit about the statements of another key witness, further devastating Liggett's timeline. 5. Richard Allen has zero connections to any pagan cult or pagan cultist. And furthermore, no forensic evidence such as DNA or electronic evidence links Richard Allen to the girls or to the crime scene. He is a completely innocent man. 6. Most of the evidence backing these assertions was found scattered over no less than 10 hard drives and several flash drives provided by the prosecution, meaning that the defense is not making wild accusations, but rather primarily relaying facts and information that is backed up by the prosecutor's own discovery, even discovery that the prosecution just provided to the defense as late as September 8, 2023. 7. Not coincidentally, members of dentists of the same pagan cult are employed as corrections officers for the Indiana Department of Corrections at Westville Correctional Facility. I didn't get this far. It is inside, excuse me, hold on. It is inside of the cold concrete walls of the maximum security unit of this dilapidated reformatory that Richard Allen is being threatened, intimidated, and mentally abused. That's what I wanted to read right there. Throughout this document, references are made to the Unified Command. Essentially, the Unified Command was the leadership of the murder investigation, according to Tony Liggett, Carroll County Sheriff and member of Unified Command when the investigation began. A Unified Command consisted of law enforcement from a variety of entities, local, state, and federal. Unified Command were overseers of the entire investigative operation. According to Liggett, the members of the Unified Command were from Carroll County, Tony Liggett and Kevin Hammond; from State Police, Jerry Holman, Jay Harper, and Dave Doe; and from the FBI, Rich Davies. All right, here we go. I need to take a little a little break, please. This is a lot. How many pages was that? Like 3? 9. I did 9 so far, guys. Please hit that like button for me. Don't forget. Um, I know I don't have any water with me right now. I just have like a sip of this diet. That's all I have. Never Silent. Do you want to come up and talk about that? What you know about it after? Well, obviously not after I finish reading this article. I mean, this document, because it's going to take forever. Odinism, Odinites, and runes. Odinism is the Odinism. Oh no. I understand that, but I'm trying to read it. Odinism is the pagan religion referenced above, and its followers are called Odinites. Odinists are enamored of Viking Nordic culture. Evidence supports that at the crime scene, these murdering Odinites left behind obvious signatures, symbols in the form of runes. These runes were 1. Formed with sticks, 2. Fashioned with tree branches, and 3. Painted using the blood of Liberty German. Sticks and tree branches were deliberately, carefully, and proficiently placed on each girl in a certain arrangement, mimicking certain runes. See, I didn't follow the case like that far back when it started, so I didn't know anything about this. But what do you think if you know about that? And now this has came out. What do you think now? Sticks and tree branches were deliberately Okay, I already read that. Blood of Liberty. Oh, wait, here we go. Sticks and tree branches were deliberately, carefully, and proficiently placed on each girl in a certain arrangement, mimicking certain runes. At least one of the branches appeared to have its end cut off cleanly by some type of tool, like an electric saw, providing proof of a preconceived plan. Additionally, the blood of Liberty German was used as the paint to mark a tree with a rune that looked similar to the letter F. With a simple Google search, these runes would be identifiable as one of the many calling cards of this pagan religious cult. Yet, law enforcement in charge of the Delphi investigation seemingly and quickly abandoned the obvious correlation between the crime scene and Odinism, despite an obscene amount of evidence linking Odinism to the crime scene. Hey, Aussie True Crime! And even in spite of powerful evidence linking specific Odinites in and around Indiana to the murders. Also, the court will learn in his affidavit for search warrant that Sheriff Liggett failed to inform Judge Diner that nothing, absolutely nothing, links Richard Allen to Odinism or any religious cult. Also, no forensics such as DNA, no electronic computers or phones, or from his social media links Richard Allen to the crime scene. Additionally, nothing links Richard Allen to any of the Odinite suspects, the same Odinite suspects that evidence strongly supports sacrificed Abby and Libby in some sort of pagan ritual. Richard Allen had nothing to do with this crime, but rather is an innocent man, a patsy for the police, arrested 26 days before an election. Yeah, I'm sorry, my eye is bothering me really bad. failure to pursue the Odennis link. Y'all don't laugh at me if I'm saying these names wrong. Law enforcement's failure to actively pursue the obvious links between the crime scene and Odenism is confounding. It is even more confounding when days and weeks after the murders, a particular Odenite from Logansport named Brad Holder posted on social media images mimicking the very runes found at the crime scene. A crime scene unreleased and unknown to the general public even to this day. Who was Brad Holder? He was an Odenite whose son Logan had been dating Abby. Brad Holder's social media posts seemingly taunted the very police that refused to fully investigate him. The defense believes that the court will be shocked at the number of clues or Easter eggs, both before and after the murders, that Holder openly posted on his Facebook page that pointed the finger to his involvement in murders. However, a fact that is simply mind-blowing to the defense is that Brad Holder was never considered a suspect in the murders of Abby and Libby. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of this Brad Holder, but I saw a picture of this Brad Holder, and I'm going to try to find it. But all I can say is wow. And I'm like really into these documents and this hearing because I don't know, guys. Like, this is sick. This is crazy. State Trooper Jerry Holman, one of the law enforcement officers in charge of organizing and investigating the Delphi murders, claimed in his August 10th, 2023 deposition that Brad Holder was not really ever a suspect. Police reports written near the time of the murders reveal that Jerry Holman is telling the truth. Brad Holder was cleared as a suspect quickly on March 16, 2017. On March 1, 2017, Tony Liggett stated in a report that there was no leads required concerning Brad Holder, meaning that it was not necessary for law enforcement to continue to look for leads related to Brad Holder. Liggett made that determination a mere 15 days after the girls were murdered. By March 16, 2023, Unified Command member Kevin Hammond wrote that Brad Holder has been cleared. The girls hadn't been dead for 30 days, and Unified Command had already cleared Brad Holder as a suspect. Unified Command had already cleared Holder as a suspect within 30 days, knowing that Brad Holder's son dated Abby. Unified Command had already cleared Holder as a suspect within 30 days of the murders, although a simple review of Brad Holder's Facebook page would show that he, Brad Holder, was a proud Odenite that had an absolute obsession and fascination with runes. Police knew, or had to know, that runes had been left at the crime scene. Additionally, Unified Command had already cleared Holder as a suspect in spite of the fact that runes were found on Brad Holder's Facebook pages, mimicked runes found at a crime scene that had not been released to the public. The investigation had barely begun, but the Unified Command had already cleared the very man that any person with even a small amount of common sense or curiosity would believe was a strong candidate for being involved in the murder of the girls. For example, the court will also learn that the Unified Command was aware of a very disturbing image on Brad Holder's social media accounts that actually mimicked the crime scene. On April 12, 2017, Trooper Joseph Ryan Winters received a phone call from a man in Georgia named Ryan Boucher in Louisiana. Boucher, I don't know how she would say it, who had discovered disturbing images in Brad Holder's social media account. Having somehow learned that Brad Holder's son Logan had dated Abby Williams, Mr. Boucher began reviewing Brad Holder's social media history. How do y'all want me to say it? I'm just going to say Boucher. I don't know. One of the images Boucher viewed on Brad Holder's social media account was an image of two women either dead or posed as if they were dead on the ground in what appeared to be a forest. Both women had tree limbs and sticks arranged on their bodies. One of the women had her arm stretched out above her head, similar to the way that Libby's arm was stretched above her head. Both women were clothed, and the stick and tree branch formations on these girls was different than the stick and tree branch formation on Abby and Libby, but otherwise it bore a very eerie similarity to the murder scene in Delphi. Ryan Boucher had no knowledge of the actual crime scene. However, after reviewing Brad Holder's social media sites, Boucher was disturbed at that image, as well as other images that provided insight into Brad Holder's fascination with runes. Believing that the disturbing images may be something of interest to those investigating the Delphi murders, Mr. Boucher contained Toby Lesenby, who at the time was the sheriff of Carroll County. Lesenby quickly rebuffed Boucher, I did not follow this case, so I am probably butchering these names, telling Boucher that Holder was not a suspect. Undeterred, Mr. Boucher contacted the state police, where he ended up talking to Trooper Joseph Ryan Winters. After their conversation, Winters memorialized the interaction and placed the images provided by Boucher into a Dropbox account. After creating the report, Winters then discussed his findings face to face with Jerry Holman of Unified Command. The body of this memorandum will provide details of that interaction. In his report, Winters requested law enforcement to re-interview Brad Holder. The defense does not believe Unified Command ever followed up on Winters' request. It should be noted that the disturbing images found by Boucher in Georgia and placed in a Dropbox by Winters were not and have still not been provided to the defense. In his recent deposition, Winters said that he had attempted to locate the images but was unable. However, because of the potential importance of these images to Richard Allen's case, the defense team located Boucher and then traveled to Georgia to meet with him. Those images are now in the possession of Richard's defense team, who then provided those images to law enforcement. Again, these were important images that law enforcement failed to turn over to the defense. Instead, the defense located these images in Georgia and then turned them over to the very people who had the obligation to provide them to the defense. Unified Command, which included Tony Liggett, who drafted the affidavit for search warrant, was fully aware of the mimic crime. Are you okay, my baby? Okay. Was fully aware of the mimic crime scene on Brad Holder's social media, as well as other posts that mimicked the exact runes found at the crime scene, but failed to do anything about it and failed to inform Judge Diner of his obvious suspect, Brad Holder, and all of the evidence that existed against Holder, making him a prime suspect. The court will learn in the body of this memorandum that Holder was connected to the crimes, the crime scene, and to other men who had confessed to the crime. I wonder if that Keegan Kline had anything to do with a cult or anything like that. The evidence of those connections will be provided in the body of the memorandum, including copies of the images found on Holder's Facebook page at the time of the investigation, which link Holder to the crime scene, as well as the images found by Ryan Boucher that law enforcement has failed to turn over to the defense. The defense will also attach what the defense calls the Winters Report, which is the memorialization of Trooper Winter's interaction with Ryan Boucher. Liggett provided none of this evidence or information to Judge Diner, but rather allowed the judge to believe that Richard Allen was a lone suspect in the murders in spite of zero evidence linking Richard Allen to the crimes at the time Liggett sought the search warrant 26 days before an election. Unified Command's failure to vigorously pursue the obvious links between the crime scene and Odinism is even more perplexing when evidence known to law enforcement demonstrated a clear nexus between Brad Holder and at least 4 other suspects: Elvis Fields from Rushville, Patrick Westphal from Delphi, Johnny Messer from Rushville, and Rod Abrams from Rushville, now living in Connersville. Unified Command was aware that Elvis Fields confessed to his sister that he, Elvis, was involved in the murders when providing to his sister intimate crime scene details of which only those present at the crime scene would have familiarity. Additionally, Elvis Fields told his sister Mary on February 14, 2017, that he was present at the killings and that he, Elvis, now had a, quote, a brother, unquote, and was now part of a, quote, gang, end quote. In February 2018, Elvis had been questioned by law enforcement but denied involvement in the murders. However, after being dropped off at his trailer following the questioning, Elvis turned around, walked back to the police car, and according to the police report, asked the state trooper if Elvis's spit is found on one of the girls, but he could explain it away. Would he still be in trouble? If your spit is on one of 2 dead girls, how can you explain that away? You were obviously there. Well, no, by the time they found it, it would all been dried up. They wouldn't have been able to tell when it was probably there. I don't know. The state trooper that heard Elvis utter these words, Kevin Murphy, was not part of Unified Command, but immediately relayed Elvis's disturbing question to Jay Harper of Unified Command. Elvis also admitted to a different sister, Joyce, that he had in fact spit on one of the girls. Elvis told Joyce that he, Elvis, was on a trail and a bridge with 2 girls that were killed and that he was going away for a long time. Elvis's alibi for February 13th, 2017 was also probably flawed. State troopers who weren't part of Unified Command determined that Elvis's roommate concocted a story concerning Elvis's whereabouts on February 13th, 2017. This roommate is named Rod Abrams. Abrams told a story claiming on February 13th, 2017, that he, Rod Abrams, Elvis Fields, and a man named Ned Smith were visiting a sick friend in Muncie. Unfortunately for Rod Abrams, this story conflicted with the story that Elvis Fields told law enforcement as to Elvis's whereabouts on February 13, 2017. These shady alibis were relayed to Unified Command. These shady alibis will be further explained in the body of the memorandum. Furthermore, Unified Command knew that on February 1st, 2018, Elvis's sister passed the polygraph examination when asked if she were telling the truth about what Elvis had confessed to her. Unified Command's failure to vigorously pursue the obvious links between the crime scene and Odinism is even more inexplicable when evidence known to law enforcement included information about another Odinite named Patrick Westphal, who was living in Delphi, very close to the murder scene on February 13, 2017. Evidence known to Unified Command included the fact that fellow Odinites Patrick Westphal and Brad Holder were close friends as late as January 21, 2017. However, that friendship ended very abruptly in February 2017. Oh. They got in a they got into a fight in the woods near a river while they were doing a ritual. One of them said or did something the other would agree with. They no longer talked to each other. The river was near Patrick's house, and intoxicated Brad Holder shared this disturbing information with his ex wife. Dang, these people got big mouths for being criminals and not wanting to get caught, huh? With his ex wife, Amber Holder. Amber Holder then relayed this disturbing information to law enforcement who were not a part of Unified Command in 2019. These officers then relayed this disturbing information to Unified Command. Liggett concealed this information from Judge Steiner. In 2019, Unified Command learned that in a totally different conversation with his ex-wife, Brad Holder pointed the finger away from himself and directly at Patrick Westphal. What is going on with these people? This whole document so far, this is crazy. What do y'all think? Do y'all think y'all need to hear more to make a... I don't know. I know these people have big mouths. According to police reports, Brad Holder told his ex-wife, Amber Holder, that Westphal and his people killed Abigail Williams and Liberty German because one of their mothers were mixing with other people outside the mother's race. Furthermore, Unified Command was aware that Brad Holder had told Amber that I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions. Brad Holder further told his ex-wife, Amber, that Patrick Westphal had many people backing him, and that Westphal also had powerful friends. Liggett knew of this information for more than 3 years before Liggett sought a search warrant for Richard Allen's house, yet Liggett never shared that information with Judge Diner. Additionally, Westphal provided a very weak alibi as to his whereabouts on February 13, 2017. Were you driving around all night? Westphal told law enforcement that he, Westphal, was at home the afternoon of Monday, February 13, 2017. The defense is unaware of any search warrant that Liggett sought to enter Westphal's house or whether Unified Command instructed law enforcement to knock on a single neighbor's door to verify Westphal's alibi. Penelope, what are you growling for? Sorry, I just have to take a little break from reading. That's a lot. Let me see. Oh, 17. How are y'all doing? Hi, see you too. I didn't see you come in. I hadn't been looking at chat because if I'm reading and then I'll look down at chat and then I'll forget where I was or forget what I was talking about. But I try to still glance down at chat because I need to know if y'all can't hear me because you already know how the sound goes. Let's see, Avery. Let's go. How many people? Hey, like in Indiana? How many people practice? Never silent. In the United States, not there, but they'll. 3 hours ago, it says, not that. Let's see. Hold on, Penelope. That doesn't say. Oh, white supremacists are by far the most violent community. Oh, never mind. That's not anything. What is it called? Odinic right? I don't know. Oh. Oh, okay. I know. And then his son dated Abby, and they're white supremacists, so they only like white people, and I'm not sure which girl, but Abby or Liberty's mom uh obviously dated outside of their race, and they didn't like that. And how else would they know any private personal details about the mom other than the daughter's boyfriend, right? Oh, you guys, say prayers for Avery. Avery, how's the manhunt going? There's a manhunt like right by Avery's house. She was in lockdown or something. I don't know how that's going. But they do fundraisers for St. Jude's. Well, that's good. Maybe they're not all bad people. I'm sure they're not all murderers. You know what I mean? Hold on one second, guys. Let me let her outdoors so she'll stop. Oh, yeah, while I'm gone, please hit that like button for me, guys. Oh, there's still, sir. Oh, stay in your house. Tell all of your kids stay in their houses. Keep Jaden safe in your house, and your daughters tell them to stay home. I'm back. And okay, so I think what I read correctly was, if I read correctly, it was a traffic stop, and the guy took off on foot. Yeah, a chase, and then I knew it had something to do with a car or something. Unified Command's failure to continually pursue the obvious links between the crime scene and Odinism is even more disturbing when evidence known to law enforcement included information about another Odinite named Johnny Messer from Rushville. Oh, has anyone heard from Scarlett? Oh, there she is. I see she posted in Discord. Phew. Okay. I just thought about it while I was reading. Johnny was a recruiter for the Odinites and was also the connective tissue between the Odinites from the Delphi area, Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall, and the suspects from the Rushville area, Elvis Fields and Rod Abrams. So Elvis is the one that told his sisters from Rushville, and Brad Holder is the one that told his ex-wife, and he's from Delphi. Delphi is located 126 miles from Rushville. Law enforcement knew that Johnny Messer was friends with Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall. Law enforcement also knew that Messer was acquaintances with Elvis Fields and Rod Abrams. This is a whole ring of mess. Mm-mm. Unified Command theoretically could claim and actually appear to be claiming that this connection is simply a bizarre coincidence. However, Unified Command not only knew that Elvis Fields, Rod Abrams, and Patrick Holder. Elvis Fields, Rod Abrams, and Brad Holder, Patrick Westphal, shared a common acquaintance, Johnny Messer. But also that Elvis Fields and Brad Holder followed each other on Facebook and even mimicked each other's Facebook pages, with Elvis Fields actually recreating the photos that Holder posted on his Holder's what? What? He recreated the pictures of the two females laying on the ground in the woods with the branches and stuff on them and the blood? Is that what he's talking about? Somebody help me with this. I'm sure the defense will bring it on out, Jiraiya, if there is. Because I tell you one thing, this freaking document right here was done pretty fast. Maybe that's why I found a couple of typos already. But there is a couple of typos I found already. But anyway, yeah, it's the 19th. So 10 days they went through the evidence. Well, went through whatever evidence they had just gotten, the 10 hard drives or whatever it was and flash drives. They went through all of that, gone through what was exculpatory, and compiled this document, 136 pages. All in what, 10 days? And nobody else, like, nobody else can do anything in a timely manner? Shockingly, at his August 10th, 2023 deposition, Unified Command member Jerry Holman claimed that he did not even know who Johnny Messer was, nor what the evidence showed of Messer's possible role in the murders of Abby and Libby. It sounds like they got their man. You know what this kind of sounds like, you guys? In a way, Stephen Avery. They found someone in their sights that they wanted to blame, and no matter what, they made the narrative fit that suspect. Yeah, Avery? It is additionally infuriating that Johnny Messer was cleared as a suspect in the murders when considering these facts. And I'm really, really big into Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey being innocent. Very big. So I am definitely very interested into seeing where this goes. And we only been not even 20 pages in. And that's why I was like, yo, this is a lot, but I have to read it because isn't it just so good? Like, so crazy it's good? I don't know. Yeah. Johnny's ex-girlfriend, Taylor Hornaday, told police that Johnny Messer and Patrick Westphal were like brothers. She also told police that she had allowed Johnny to borrow her car on or around Valentine's Day 2017, and that Johnny drove her car up there to hang with his Vinlander friends. When he returned her vehicle, it had dried blood over one side of it. Johnny Messer refused to discuss the details of how the blood got there. Penelope. Oh man, hold on. Every time Johnny Messer's ex-girlfriend further stated that it took her several car washes to finally remove the blood. Meanwhile, Messer has claimed that he had never, not once in his life, been to Delphi, home of his brother, Patrick Westphal, and near the home of his other Odinite brother, Brad Holder. But he's never been there, right? Oh, a Vinlander is someone who practices Odinism. Messer's ex-girlfriend also told law enforcement that Brad Holder and Johnny Messer were two of the most violent people she knew and were fully capable of having been involved in the murders. Johnny Messer's ex-girlfriend further stated that a motive for their involvement in the murder of Abby and Libby might be the concept of blood in and blood out, which means social acceptance into their secret circles. All this information was relayed to the Unified Command team, yet Unified Command provided no guidance as to what to do to capitalize on this information in order to work towards solving the murders. Additionally, do y'all think that the upcoming election had anything to do with them arresting Richard Allen? Because I know that the defense brought that up in this document also. Additionally, Unified Command learned that Johnny Messer's ex-girlfriend had been listening to and recording Johnny Messer's phone calls. That's what up. Hey, police secured the phone and listened to 3 phone calls involving Johnny Messer. And 2 of those calls, he was offering money to other people to find someone so they can be injured or killed. The 3rd call involves Messer bragging about holding a subject hostage and shooting them at his house. Essentially, Unified Command said, nothing to see here. Wow, you guys. Regarding Johnny Messer, and issued no search warrant for his home. None have been disclosed to the defense. Nor did they attempt to utilize an age-old investigative tool referred to as an interrogation to pursue the truth about the involvement of Johnny Messer, Brad Holder, or what Patrick Westphal in those crimes. That's what I say about Hawkins County and the Summer Wells case. Why can't you just put them in a hot room and sweat the truth out of them and say, hey, they told me this. They told me you did this. You tell me what they did. Many more shocking facts concerning the so-called investigation will be revealed in the body of the memorandum. You guys, this is only the beginning. Hey, Ashton, this is only the beginning. We haven't even gotten like a quarter of the way through, and it's still like after I get up, because I can't read, like I'm already on page 20. So it took an hour to read 20 pages. So I could do 40 pages. I'm trying to figure out how long it's going to take me. Brian and Richard going home soon. Don't say Brian. Richard Allen, I don't know. But Brian, you can't. Dang it. Oh, Lady V, I didn't even see you. I got your text message, but I didn't see you in chat. Be safe driving home. Okay. Now, and you know what else? If they do have Odinites as CEOs in that facility, and he's being treated as badly as his lawyers are saying he is, in which they requested him to be transferred to another location, and the judge like, nah, bro, you staying right where you at. And I wonder if that's why. But what if he really is innocent, and what if something happens to him in jail awaiting trial, and then it comes out that one of these other dudes did it? Oh, wow. What do y'all think? Tell me if y'all think that maybe it's possible that he was set up just so far by these 20 pages that we've heard. Because everybody was like, he's guilty AF. Didn't he admit to being involved or something? My mom grew up in San Manuel, and she was born there in San Manuel. I thought it was San Manuel, but they say San Manuel. Yeah. I just learned that in 2019. Jiraiya lives in Arizona too, if y'all don't know. So you think he was involved, but just not the main culprit? Like, hey, my dude ain't the only one. What about these other people? They need to do their time too. I don't know. Odinites in Westville Correctional Facility guarding Richard Allen. The evidence shows that during his pretrial incarceration at Westville Correctional Facility, Richard Allen has been monitored, intimidated, and mentally abused by correctional officers who are also members of the Odinite cult. Two of those correctional officers are named Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones. Oh, wow. Hold up. These Westville Corrections officers boldly wore patches on their Department of Corrections uniforms that proclaimed, quote, "In Odin we trust," end quote. Along with another patch displaying symbols of Odism, interlocking triangles. Both Odinite Correctional Officer Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones also display images of runes and other Odinite symbols on their Facebook pages. As recently as June 25th, 2023, for example, Odinite Sergeant Robinson openly displayed a photograph of his Odinite altar on his Facebook page. A similar altar can be found on the Facebook page of Brad Holder. Beginning at least on April 3rd, 2023, Sergeant Jones and Sergeant Robinson wore their Odin patches when the defense team visited Richard Allen. However, Sergeant Robinson's and Sergeant Jones's brazen display of their identities patch came to an end on August 17th, 2023. What changed? Why suddenly did they no longer display their Odinite patches beginning on the August 17th, 2023 visit between Richard Allen and his defense team? Here is your possible answer. It was not until August 10th, 2023 deposition of Trooper Jerry Holman that Richard Allen's defense team finally revealed to the prosecutor and to Unified Command that for many months they, Richard Allen's defense team, had been fully aware of the strong evidence linking Odinism to the murders. It was also at the August 10th, 2023 deposition that Unified Command learned that Richard Allen's defense team was not only aware of this information, but also intended to expose the linkage of Abby's and Libby's murders to Odinism, and would also be revealing the names of the Odinites at trial. At that deposition, Holman and the prosecutor also learned that the defense team obviously intended on exposing Unified Command's utter failure in pursuing the Odinist suspects, in spite of the powerful evidence of Odinite's involvement in the murders. However, and this is important to note, at his August 10th, 2023 deposition, Richard's defense team did not let Holman or anyone else know that the defense team, was fully aware of the Odinites corrections officers at Westville wearing the "In Odin We Trust" patches. I don't know, like, how many people do practice Odism in where they are? Where are they again? I forgot. Delphi, Indiana. I just two COs, no telling how many in law enforcement, just like forgot who said that. And I don't know, but I don't want to bring it up Brian right now. I'm talking about this. I'll talk about it with y'all and Scarlett. So there's no telling who on law enforcement. We know for sure the two in Delphi, plus the two. I don't know where is Westville. Is the jail he's at? Where's that located? I don't know where it's located at. It just says Westville. I'm just trying to see how many people actually practice this crap. But I mean, it's like basically the same as in someone practicing pagan and all that, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're murderers, or I mean they're racists for sure, no doubt, absolute 100% disgusting. But that doesn't mean they're murderers. But I can see the one dude doing that because he found out his son's girlfriend's mother was dated outside of her race. Absolutely 100%. Yes, could definitely see that. And that possibly well could be the case. Don't know. Richard Allen's defense team's next visit with Richard Allen at Westville following the August 10th, 2023 deposition occurred 1 week later on August 17th, 2023. Curiously, or perhaps not so curiously, in those 7 days since the defense team revealed their knowledge that evidence linked O'Dennis to the murders for the first time, Sergeant Robinson was no longer wearing his Odin patch. It was almost as if someone had alerted Odinite Robinson that the gig was up because the lawyers knew about the links to Odinism. So lose the patch and pray that the defense attorneys had never noticed the patches on prior visits. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Unfortunately for Will and Unified Command, Rick's defense team absolutely noticed the Odinite patches worn by Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones beginning April 3rd, 2023. So, April 3rd and August 17th. Oh, so, okay, it was like for almost 5 months. Furthermore, Rick's defense team absolutely noticed the conspicuous absence of Sergeant Robinson's Odin patches following Trooper Holman's realization that Rick's defense team was fully aware of the connection between the murders and Odinism. That's like sus AF. Come on. As well as the failure of the Unified Command to follow through on the evidence that linked the murders to Odinism. I didn't know he was 17. Wait, 11? The court will also learn in the body of this memorandum that Sergeant Jones and Sergeant Robinson were seemingly always by Richard Allen's side during most, if not every, visit. Normally, corrections officers, usually Sergeant Robinson and or Sergeant Jones, were within earshot of every conversation between Richard and his attorneys. No. Uh-uh. And his attorneys and between Richard and his wife. Close enough that Richard would have to be worried about conversation with his attorneys and with his wife being overheard by Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones or other corrections officer. But didn't this dude write a letter or wait, didn't this dude confess? Is this the one that wrote a letter to his wife? Or called his wife or something? Is that the right case? Well, if that's the case and it was publicly known, then they can, I mean, they could have done something about it if that was really their age. It was on a recorded line. So If this is in fact true, why would he have done that? Dude, like, I just don't understand. Right. Oh. Oh, Ashton. I didn't even think about that. From Jones and Robinson, if it was the same jail, probably, huh? What do y'all think about that? Is that why he's all curled up in the wheelchair? Wow. Beginning on April 3rd, 2023, and for several visits thereafter, the Westfield Corrections officers even videotaped attorney visits. Do they still have their jobs? You can't do that. Between Richard and his defense team. Most of the time, if not every time, it was Sergeant Jones or Sergeant Robinson bringing the handheld camcorder to the visit. I know. How can they do that? Corrections officers even required that Richard Allen be positioned facing the window where the corrections officers was videotaping the attorney visits with the handheld camcorder. This positioning of Richard Allen's body would allow the corrections officers to videotape Richard Allen's mouth as he talked to his attorneys. Whoa. Wow, that's a little much. Can you believe that? They videoed him to try to read his lips? Richard would therefore not be able to privately discuss anything with his attorneys, such as, the guards are telling me that my wife and family will be killed unless I call my wife and tell her that I killed those girls. Instead, a mentally defeated Richard Allen would continually mutter to his defense team at every visit these types of general questions. Is my wife alive? Is my family alive? Is my wife safe? Is my family safe? At one such meeting with his attorneys, Richard Allen mumbled in a somewhat incoherent fashion that Odinites were threatening him. It would be important to note that Richard Allen's defense team had never mentioned the words Odinites or Odinism or informed Richard Allen that evidence suggests that Odinites murdered Abby and Libby until August 25th, 2023, when his defense team, in the presence of his wife, who was visiting with Rick in the prison, first discovered the exculpatory Odin-related evidence to Rick. Rick's defense team felt that having him remain unaware would hopefully keep Rick a bit safer, due to Rick's weakened mental state and the concern that he might unwittingly discuss his attorney's strategy with Sergeant Jones and Sergeant Robinson. Rick's attorney opted to not discuss Odinism with their client out of fear that Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones would then be on the alert that Richard's defense team was aware of the Odinite involvement. Richard's defense team needed additional time to investigate and review evidence before feeling confident and comfortable in revealing their knowledge to the court of the strong evidence that Odinites murdered the girls and that Unified Command had chosen to do nothing about it, but in fact had hidden these facts from Judge Steiner. Therefore, Richard's defense team opted to keep Richard in the dark about the Odinite connection to the murders supported by evidence. Again, more detailed information concerning the Odinite corrections officers, as well as the documentation supporting that information, will be provided in the body of this memorandum. Liggett concealed certain witness testimony and falsified other witness testimony in order to prevent Liggett's bogus timeline from being exposed to the judge. Beyond the shocking omissions concerning the pagan cult's links to the murders and the fact that Odinists were also watching Richard Allen, akin to foxes watching the hen house, the evidence will show that Liggett's affidavit for search warrant is also filled with lies and other concealed information concerning witness testimony. This false and concealed information completely eviscerates the state's timeline. The evidence will show that Tony Liggett knew of the major problems that his witnesses' testimonies created, and Liggett chose to solve his problem by concealing this information and even falsifying other information in order to bolster the state's bogus timeline. The evidence will show, if y'all can hear the jet, I'm sorry. The evidence will show that Liggett concealed facts concerning descriptions that key witness Betsy Blair made directly to Liggett face to face in 2019 concerning number one, the person that Betsy Blair, observed on the bridge, and two, a vehicle that Betsy Blair, observed at the CPS parking lot at around 2:15 p.m. For Liggett's timeline to work and to place Richard Allen on the Monon High Bridge at 2:13. I'm telling you, y'all tell me if I'm saying these names wrong. The time of the famous Down the Hill video, Liggett desperately needed Betsy Blair to describe a man on the bridge that looked like Richard Allen, and furthermore, desperately needed Betsy Blair to describe a car that she observed parked at the CPS parking lot at approximately 2:15 p.m. as looking what the car she observed in the parking lot as looking like Richard Allen's black Ford Focus. Suffice it to say, the evidence will show that Liggett concealed from the judge that Betsy Blair described a man on the bridge that looked nothing like Richard Allen, and described a car at the CPS lot that looked nothing like Richard Allen's car, both in color and design. The evidence will show that Betsy provided these timeline defeating descriptions directly to Liggett face to face 2 times in 2019. Yet, Liggett failed to inform Judge Diner of these descriptions, as well as inform him of the fatal flaws that these missing descriptions created for the timeline. The evidence will also show that Liggett just flat out lied about what Liggett, claimed Sarah Carbo told him in 2017 concerning a man walking down the road near the murder scene. For Liggett's timeline to work, Liggett needed Sarah Carbo to describe a man walking down the road wearing a blue jacket who had blood covering his clothing. However, in 2017, Sarah did not say these things. This did not prevent Liggett from affirming under oath that Sarah Carbo did say those things. In fact, what Sarah actually told Liggett in 2017 was that Carbo, observed a man walking down the road wearing a tan coat whose clothes were muddy. Nowhere did she claim in 2017 that the man she observed was wearing a blue coat. Nowhere did she claim in 2017 that the man she observed was wearing bloody clothes. Nowhere. This truth about what Sarah actually told Liggett in 2017 blows up in Liggett's timeline, which is the likely reason Liggett failed to include this information in his affidavit. Additional evidence will be presented in the body of this memorandum. Okay. I know I saw the picture of that man and a picture of Richard Allen and a picture of the dude on the bridge. All 3 in a row. I had to have seen it on this document. I don't know where else I would have saw it. The defense believes that the evidence strongly supports the contention that Liggett intentionally concealed evidence from Judge Steiner and lied about other evidence to the judge in his affidavit for search warrant. However, even if Liggett did not intentionally conceal evidence from the judge or did not intentionally place false information into the search warrant affidavit. At a minimum, Liggett behaved recklessly when he prepared the affidavit, omitting those facts from judge and providing false information in the affidavit. As stated in the motion accompanying this brief, the defense must show that Liggett either intentionally or recklessly omitted facts from the affidavit or provided false statements in the affidavit. Evidence supporting these facts were needles in a giant haystack of discovery. You're back, Lady. Welcome back. No, they didn't say any tree type, just branches. Okay. This is a lot, y'all. Okay, I'm ready to include the page 25. Is where I stopped. Let me see. I want to see if that picture is in here. I don't think it is. I don't know where I saw it. I'm going fast. Close your eyeballs. I'm trying to see if they have those pictures in here. Yeah. Y'all, this is a lot. Thanks. Oh, I don't know if they ever, like, what page am I on now? Hold on. If they ever said what tree. It was just tree. No. Not. Did they do a lot? Lady B? Alright, here we go. Oh, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to stop right here on page 25. I'm not, because I'm breaking up. I'm not going any further. Evidence supporting these facts were needles in a giant haystack of discovery is where we will begin tomorrow. Thanks for watching with me while I read all these pages. Thanks for putting up with my voice, all of my mispronunciations, and everything else. No. Criminality. I thought she was malicious intent. I'm so lost. Okay. Tomorrow we'll pick up from here. You're welcome, smartass. And yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow with more of this document. Let me know in the comment section when you watch the replay what you think of this, because people just won't stop coming in here and bothering me. I shouldn't even have a I'm live thing on the door. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.